G'day fellas and welcome to a casted game. Spawning in on the southwest side of the map, playing in as China, we've got 3DB. And, oh, what is that? Good evening, fellas. We interrupt this casted game to bring you breaking news. 3DB has been banned from Red Bull Wololo and will be replaced by Lucifron 7. We head now to our reporter in the field, Fitzbro, for more information on this. That's the wrong clip, Cheryl. Cheryl, wrong clip. That's the wrong clip, Cheryl. No, you gotta switch it.
Major news for the esports community of Age of Empires 4. 3DB, who just qualified for that 300,000 Red Bull Wololo tournament in Heidelberg, Germany this October, has been disqualified days later on allegations of cheating and specifically map hacks, claims the tournament organizer. This is the news that has shocked the Age of Empires 4 community and something we are just now figuring out what is going on. And I figured the best way to get down to the bottom of it was to talk to the source himself, and I arranged an interview with B.
Hi Fitzbro. Hi audience.
So did you just, I just found out about this information.
All right, so if you guys want to go watch the rest of this interview, I will leave a link down in the description to where you can actually watch it. We're going to continue on with the video. Before we do, I'm going to turn on that Age of Empires 3 music. So we got something ambient in the background. There we go, nice 31%. So let's get to it. So I don't know how to pronounce his name. I'm going to try my best. Chirizini? Jeez Louise. States. Now, he's the admin for the Red Bull Wololo. He said the player B has been disqualified from the tournament due to a violation of the rules. He links to the Road to Wololo handbook. We therefore extend the list of tournament qualification slots through the Road to Red Bull Wololo by one additional player. We welcome Lucifron 7, who will be taking his spot instead. And we also saw a message out from Pesty, who is the founder of EGC TV, and he says the tournament admin of the main event, Trezini? Trezini, I'm going to go with that. Trezini has announced that B has been disqualified from the main event of Red Bull Wololo Legacy. The link to that statement is here. While this decision was taken by the host admin of the main events, the ban will extend to the Road to Red Bull Wololo series, and the player will now be ineligible to continue in the series. We will announce any further sanctions against the player as a result of this once in the coming days, after which we'll announce any potential ban from EGC events. Until then, the player will be suspended indefinitely. So, where do we go from here? Well, ladies and gentlemen, plenty of people have come out and talked about this and about what's happened. So, just to give you the run by, it is an accusation of cheating, specifically an accusation of map hacking. Now, we've dealt with accusations of map hacking before. You guys will remember the legend of Talisman 2208, a famous map hacker. This is an example of a verifiable map hack. We can see right here, I'm going to turn it down because I get a little bit excited when we actually, you know, it's been 45 minutes through the game. We've been following the story of Talisman 2208. And then finally, we realize once we check his perspective that he is indeed map hacking. And we know that this is a map hack because he can see through the fog, and he will regularly do that throughout the game. And most importantly, he's got a zoom hack, which is tied together with that. Now, with B's case, my understanding is it looks to be a little bit different, specifically with regard to there doesn't seem to be a smoking gun. Rather, it's more about the way that B's played and the way that he's played over a long period of time. So this is going to be expanded upon by Beastie. I'll leave a link in the description to the video for Beastie Cutie when it comes up in the next couple of days. He's also done, or he did this on Twitch, and I'm just going to give a little glimpse of that. So once again, you'll be able to catch the full thing on Beastie's channel. I'll leave a link in the description. But just to talk a little bit about that, and just to provide, I guess, a little bit of devil's advocacy in this regard, just because it's important that we have it here. But obviously, by the same token, it's important to remember that the decision has been made from here, and this has come through from Microsoft, have had their hands at this, Red Bull have had their hands in this, and obviously EGC together. So it is very, at this point in time, it is 100, well not 100%, but 99.9% beyond reasonable doubt. So this is Beastie. Let's see exactly what he says. I'll slow it down to 1x speed so we can actually hear what the words he says.
Mouse says, they're coming now. He still has not seen the duck. Look at the villagers coming out. He still doesn't see it, But if you look at the north,
so essentially what's happened in this game, now this is 4 lakes, essentially, so we'll turn it down, but you can look down here in the minimap. There has been a secret dock, a proxy dock here by Beastie, and B never discovered that. He didn't realize, or he didn't see it there at all with his own vision. However, B reacted to this by sending both of his scouts and also sending a whole bunch of his villagers. He sent in total 8 villagers to go and deal with this. He also dropped a barracks immediately. Now, the response that B gave to this, because obviously this seems like 100% hacking, the fact that he's reacted to something in the fog of war, that is a very clear sign or a clear indicator of hacking. Well, yes and no. So there's a couple of things to consider. First and foremost, Age of Empires 4 isn't perfect, and this is something that's been brought up with the developers time and time again and still hasn't been fixed. What am I talking about? I'm talking about dropping down your walls to scan the enemy's base. So we know the enemy's base is over here. We know because we can see the little mini-map, and I've specifically got it so we've revealed the fog of war. So I can draw a wall anywhere on this map. I can draw it as long as it's not intersecting resources. But as soon as I try and intersect an enemy building like this, well, now it goes red. Now, I can do it up here. Well, I can't do it right. I can't do it there because it intersects the resource bar. You can see, we know exactly where that building begins because it turns red with the palisade. So what do players do? Players scan with their palisades along the shoreline. So if we take a look back at this video, we've got B, who is claiming that he just scanned his shoreline with palisades, and he saw that he couldn't build palisades there. Subsequently, he knew as a result that Beastie had to be doing a proxy dock and subsequently responded that way. And unfortunately, the reality is, for me as an observer, an independent observer, I have to give him the benefit of the doubt there because there are very clear mechanics that exist currently in Age of Empires 4 that allow this. So, number one, developers, if you're watching this video, let's put this on 100%. Get it off the back burner. Get it onto the main, the main drawing board. This is something that needs to be fixed. It's just a little bit silly to have players doing this because this does happen, and it's not against the rules. We take a look at the Road to Red Bull Wololo Legacy Handbook. There's nothing in here about it. It just says stone walls are banned in Feudal Age, stone towers are banned, and using building foundations in order to connect existing buildings for HRE emergency repairs or Golden Age tier is banned as well. So it doesn't say that you can't do that, and even if it did, it's still something that can be abused on ladder, but that's not the only thing. In addition to that, whenever you move a scout through a hunt, whenever a hunt is killed, whenever that happens, you're going to be able to hear this through Fog of War. You hear that sound? That's the sound of deer being scared away. Now, they can only be scared away by units. So, as an example, I will be playing, and I will hear one of my deers. I'll be over here with no line of sight over here at all, but I will hear the deer, and I will know that a raid is coming, or a scout is coming, or something is over there. This is something that needs to be fixed. By the same token, if you go and expand a town center on a hunt, what's going to happen is all of those deer are going to be moving away, and then once you've killed the deer, then they're going to disappear off the map. So what you literally right there, we heard it. We heard the deer being scared through the fog of war. So what's my proposal then for number two? Number two, once you've scouted a deer patch, just leave it there as a deer patch. And by the same token for relics, because as soon as you pick up a relic, it disappears off the minimap, whether you've got eyes on it or not. And the same with deer. So this, until you've re-scouted this, it should remain exactly the same. If your enemy's gone professional scouts and they've stolen this entire hunt, it should still look like there are 7 deers down here. Maybe just make them static as well. Don't make them visible through the fog of war, because this is another thing that is exploited. And then the third and final thing is that landmarks can be scouted through the fog of war. I remember I played a game, it was a China mirror, and I heard the landmark sound going down. Literally, I'm looking at my base and I hear the landmark sound going down. What do? I pull all my villagers and I go attack where the landmark is. It's a Barbican, and I go rush it, kill all of his villagers. This is something that, B is stating that he is using, and in his defense, look, I'm not the lawyer for B, I'll say that much, but in his defense, that looks pretty solid as a way out. And so we need to, as a community, as the developer, also look to tackle this. Now, that's not the only thing. hacks, cheats in Age of Empires 4, if you've played on the team game ladder, you will be well and truly familiar with them. We've got drop hacks, where a player is able to drop from the game and cause no result for everybody. It means you don't get your rating, they don't lose their rating, and it feels terrible. There's nothing worse than that. It needs to be addressed. As far as I'm aware, it hasn't been addressed by the developers or by the publishers. And it seriously needs to. Apologies for that. I just had to clear my throat. So we'll head back to the main menu, get ourselves a little bit of ambient noise. Now, other pros have come out and talked a little bit about this. So in particular, Marine Lord has written up a big twit longer here just with regard to his point of view on the ban. He originally posted this on Reddit, but it was too long for Reddit. That's how you know he's a supreme Redditor. But essentially, it's, once again, this is all, it all just feels like a whole lot of circumstantial evidence. I've gone through the replays of B, and the problem is, and once again, we're drawing it back. This is, again, on the developers, on the publisher. I've gone back through the replays of B, and unfortunately, there's nothing in here to me that is a smoking gun. And now you guys might be saying, well, Drongo, what do you mean there's no smoking guns in here? He's just played. Well, unfortunately, he got tipped off, or at least that's the theory. Somebody has tipped him off because he wasn't playing the same way in these games, despite winning all of them. And what that means is we can't actually go back and see his games where he actually did that. We're unable to go in and access those POVs. So you'll see that Beastie, actually realizing this, went ahead and recorded a game with his POV in it. I don't know whether it's this game or whether it might be another game that is before it. But he specifically recorded a game with the POV because he knew that the patch was coming and that he wasn't going to be able to show that as evidence. So he went in and recorded it. And this is just another thing that's like, you know, it's another little thing that really hurts because, you know, having played Age of Empires for quite some time, I've got used to the fact that I can just download a replay and I can go watch it anytime. But I don't have that option here in Age of Empires 4. And we're a year into this now, and this is just not a satisfactory system at all. This is a terrible system. So, I mean, that's the other thing that's on the cards. But other than that, look, I'm not going to be providing any sort of defense for B. But what I will say is this: that obviously the developers have come out, or you know, the publishers or the big tourney hosts have come out and said, look, we're banning him. We don't know what evidence they've got, so it's likely at this point that they will potentially release that evidence a little bit later. What do we know from here? We know that cheating is rampant in the Age of Empires 4 community. If you've ever played team games, you will know that. And of course, there are some players in 1v1 who do it. So we know that cheats exist. Number two, when we are observing B's games, we know that it's possible for him to hide his use of cheats. Now, how would you hide your use of cheats? Well, let's take a look at this game just as an example. How would you hide your use of a map hack? So for a map hack to work, ideally, what you're able to do is see through the fog of war. So we can see right now that in this game here, Beastie can't see through the fog of war, and neither can B apparently. But the way that the map hack would work was that it would mean that B would know exactly where everything is on this map. But that becomes very obvious, especially if you're being investigated. And you still obviously want to win because there's money on the line and those sorts of things. So what do? You can limit your map hacks to only show the minimap. And so what it would actually look like, and we can replicate this right now. Have a look at that on the minimap. You see what I just did right there? It only shows the resource nodes. It only shows the enemy units. It also shows all of your line of sight. So you know what you've explored, but you don't know but you also know what you haven't explored. And we know for a fact that there's a deer patch over here. So it would mean that if he's, as an example, playing up against the Rus, he can run out over into this direction. You know, he never has to look there with his camera. He can just run over there into this direction. And that makes it very easy for him to hide it, or him and anybody else. And I just want to make that clear that obviously it's an allegation, and you know, he's been banned subsequently, so I guess you could say it's somewhat been verified. But this would be a very easy way for you to do it, because it would basically give you God mode without ever showing that you've got God mode. Because if we go and look from his perspective, we don't ever really see anything sus. Now, I 8 times it. Perhaps I missed something, but there's never anything where he's looking into the enemy fog at all. It all looks very above board. And I've done that with all of his games. I couldn't see anything where it looked to me like he was looking into the fog. He was just, the whole time he was looking at his own units. And that's why, you know, when you compare it to the game that the Beastie was showing, that it looks much different, because we have you know, the suspicion is that he's been tipped off. But other than that, I'm curious what you guys think. There's been a little bit of a suspicion around him for quite some time, in the community. I know it's actually been a couple of months. I've heard rumors. But what are your thoughts? Take a look through Marine Lord's tweet longer. I'll leave a link in the description. Make sure you go check out Fitzbro's video as well. I'll leave a link for that in the description as well. And of course, I'll leave a link to Beastie Cutie's channel where you can catch his content when it does eventually get uploaded. I don't know whether it'll be. I'm assuming probably in the next 12 hours or so it should get uploaded. But other than that, look, it's sad news today for the Age of Empires 4 community. But hey, it is our first drama alert. So we'll catch you guys in the next one.